Hello, YouTube. This is David, the Georgia photographer, and today I'm just going to do a quick live stream about some things I done while I was on a trip in Florida, and I took basically all of my camera equipment. And since we was in the truck, I had the luxury of all the storage basically I wanted, so I just loaded it all and took it all with me, short of this one tripod I'm using right now. But while I was down there, I never got out the XT3. I took it, but it never really had the opportunity to get used like it should. It was this is more of my street photography camera, and I use it on like backpack trips where I might hike into a location for a scenery shot, landscape, nature photo. But what I was doing while I was in Florida was more, it's kind of family photos, snapshots, whatever you want to call it. But I was trying to get interesting photos too. So I really just didn't get this one out because I have the new Z6. So I got this one out. Long Rider, thank you for coming aboard tonight. Um, Hopefully, Bass Angler is in here somewhere nearby. But I took this monster and mounted the 24 to 70 and never shot anything else except when I got this behemoth out. Yeah, and if you'll look, oh, wrong side. If you'll look right there, you'll see that says D810 because that one's 36 megapixels to where this one's 24. So in theory, I should get a little bit more resolution and a little bit easier croppability out of this one. So the pixel density is just a little bit heavier. So I used this one when I went to the Vieira wetlands. Phil, who just checked in, good to see you, Phil, turned me on to because I went to a little town called Palm Shores. That's where Sierra had a rock climbing competition. So we had a little bit of extra time Monday morning after the competition before we relocated to Orlando, and I went by and stayed a couple of hours at the wetlands. Well, he was the one that told me they're there and that I should check them out if I get the opportunity. So I did, and what I like about it, yeah, pretty heavily too. is it's maintained by somebody, and it has all these nice gravel roads through it, which are all well kept, and they mow the edges, the shoulders of the road down to the water's edge mostly, or they mow it down the shoulders so you can step out of the road so people can drive by, and and it's neat and clean and orderly, and you can only go in one direction around the wetland. It's awesome. Um, what I also found out was most people that go to this wetland drive the perimeter road. We drove it and was caught up in the lap traffic until we got to that first turn. And I just wanted to go through the center just to go over to this gazebo looking thing. So we drive over there. I was all alone. I think one more car came through the rest of the time we were there because I went through the middle. Everybody was driving. You could see the cars going around the perimeter, but nobody was in the middle but me. And like I said, by the end, there was a couple of elderly ladies that had some fairly long lenses. There was a lot of photographers there that had cameras that looked a lot like this. And Phil, they were shooting from the car. I got out because I wanted to get better compositions, but those guys had long range rifle sandbags set in their window, and they would set their camera on the sandbag. It was kind of funny. They were just shooting from the truck window. They'd pull up, stick the camera out, take a few photos, and drive on to the next spot. But like I said, I got out and got down to the water's edge and got some photos of some little birds and some big birds. We was looking for an alligator. They said they were there, but we never saw one. Um, I was hoping to find that. We found a lot of vultures. There's a lot of vultures. Yeah. But let's see. What am I missing here? Y'all are having a conversation. I'm not paying attention. What's up, brother? Flying to Nat Geo. Oh, no. He's going to Sony up Nat Geo. Here he goes. Nice. You got 17. Always saving up for that 600 mil. Yeah, at this rate, it'll only take you like what 30 years to save up the money to buy that lens. Excuse me. But let's see here. Sierra didn't climb in the competition until Saturday afternoon. We got down there Friday evening. We drove down, of course. So we messed around a little bit Friday evening, went to dinner, things like that. I took a few shots in the evening outside the restaurant. There was a Jeep. It's in here. I haven't unloaded memory cards. I've only been home a couple hours. But we got done eating. The next day, in that morning, we had the morning to kill. So we took off for a walk, and we did basically a photo walk through the neighborhoods across from the hotel. We were out on the little bar that's out at the ocean. We were on the beach. The hotel we were staying in had beach access. So we just walked across to the housing, the neighborhoods across the street from the beach. And I took this because I wanted to experiment with it and basically try to run the lens around some and see how it performed. Basically shooting wide open most of the time. Even though I was in bright sun, I would still shoot at f4 because I'm trying to see, because typically you'll see it when a lens breaks down, it'll break down at wide open aperture. So I shot it, whether I was shooting 24, 50 mil, whatever on the zoom ring, most of the time it was on f4 that morning. And I've got a bunch of photos from that, and that's going into a video. I vlogged it. I took my little GoPro and vlogged it. But the photo opportunities in that neighborhood were pretty interesting. We actually ran across a couple of yard sales, and I got a photo or two of stuff like that. But there was all sorts of stuff just walking around. Let's see what else we got here. First, we have to take over the Olympics. With $17 in a water jug, you're going to be a while taking over the Olympics. You're going to have to do it faster than that. Honestly, I expect to see a strong showing from Sony at the Olympics. If you look back in time, you'll see when Canon and Nikon go to the Olympics, they have all these like loaner lenses, is what Jeff Cable posted the photo of it last time when they were in, I think, Seoul, Korea. And hey, Max, that they had like this room where you could check out lenses. I guess if yours failed, or you could rent on site or something to that effect, because it was just like this shelves, and it was the big 500 and 600 millimeter like f4s, and it was just rows of them and rows of them, and all these huge lenses, and they were all exactly the same, so everybody could didn't have to take the huge glass with them. They could just get over there and pick one up and use it and turn it back in. But I expect Sony will be there. They'll have A9s probably, and they'll probably have their big super telephoto stuff. And if they don't have a certain lens, I figure they'll debut one. They're going to try to hit the Olympics hard this year. It would greatly surprise me if they didn't try to break into that market, because they're trying to establish themselves as a serious player in the photography world. One thing really will only get you that, really, and that's time. You can't really buy your way into that street cred, for lack of a better term. Nikon and Canon have dominated that because they've just done it for decades. Sony will get in there, and there'll be a percentage that'll use Sony. There will be. But until they get their street cred up, you're probably not going to see a large percentage. And I figure over 10 years, you'll probably start seeing more and more and more Sony shooters, because Sony makes nice gear. I mean, it's proven. It takes great photos. You can't argue with the results. I mean, I've seen photos taken with the A9 that were stellar. They're doing their homework. They're doing it well. It's just, that's all they like, is time and service. Once they get some more time in service, they'll, as a serious interchangeable lens camera company, then you'll start seeing them on more and more of the market. It's coming. That's part of the problem with Nikon, is Nikon has always had this attitude of, we're Nikon. We'll always dominate this or that or this or that. Well, they're not dominating anymore. It's just a fact. Their market share is much smaller than it used to be, and it's because they've had this air of arrogance. They've literally been arrogant. I like knock on gear, but it's the truth. And when you get too big for your britches, is the way they say it in the South, then you'll get a reality check, and they got one. And Sony slipped in on them, and they're taking their market share. And to the camera companies, it's all about the dollars. They could care less about the photos. They care about the dollars. And they know if they deliver a quality product that does a good job for the end user, then the end user will be happy and will come back and will recommend to their friends. And that's how marketing works. It's marketing 101. You know, it's easier to keep a customer than to earn a new one. Basic marketing rules. And honestly, I don't know about Canon because Canon is not something I use, so I don't really follow their little history or genre or backlog or wherever the word is. But I know I follow Nikon a little bit, and Nikon's Nikon's got a pretty strong air of arrogance about their name, you know, and yeah, it's got lineage, but that don't guarantee them business. It just doesn't. They're not owed this magical amount of respect. It's just the way it is. Let's see. There's stuff going on here, and I ain't been reading it. I've been monologuing. I'm backing up time a little bit here. Let's see here. What's up, Aaron? Oh, hey, Aaron, I didn't know you checked in. I'm sorry. I should have noticed. Straight Out of Camera says the day of the guru is over. Oh, good thing you're not a guru. Woo. Yeah, boy. Trying to figure out who the guru is. Monopods. Yeah. I now have technically two. I got a tripod for Christmas from my mom that I actually put on my Christmas list, and one of the legs disconnects and the head hooks to it and creates a tripod or a monopod. But I have a actual separate monopod as well. I don't use it near as much as I should. I've used it a few times. Rumor is a 300 millimeter f2.8. Dude, that thing would weigh a ton. Good Lord, that'd be heavy. Oh, Sony Northrop. Oh, did I say that out loud? Uh-huh. Okay. 120 to 300 Nikkor 2.8 will be awesome. Yeah, but it's going to be expensive. Somebody was kicking around the numbers. It was going to be 8 or 10 grand that thing or something. It was going to be a lot. I don't know the number exactly. Oh, Nikon will dominate the world by 2024. Oh, here's Bass Angler and his loyaltiness. I'll probably order an XPG and just keep using this one until it's unusable. Nikon toasters. That's a pretty good one. They are too proud. They are. And they do ride that name because their cameras never break. Yeah, mine haven't broke down. I gotta give you credit there, but I have heard about people who've had trouble with them. When there are only two players, it's easy to get lazy. Yeah, it's true. Once you get used to the monopod for street, you will use one all the time. Ooh. Bass Angler says, I like the Benro because it goes well over 6 feet high. Wow. Dude. This one is a Gikoto. I don't know how tall it goes. It goes way up there. It's 7 foot or so, 6 or 7 foot. It's got like 2 sections to the vertical center and then a whole bunch of telescoping legs. I've only got 2 sections let out on the legs now. Oh. Aaron wanting the Peak Design. I can't bring myself to like that Peak Design tripod. I don't know. There's something about it. After seeing that big old behemoth landscape tripod you got, Aaron, and then I saw Phil's, and I know I really need to step up my landscape game. Yeah, it does look good folded up. It does make it small. Huh. Max done killed a $150 carbon fiber tripod from daily use. Use it a lot then. If you wore one out, I guess I don't use them as much as I could. I still freehand a lot, and now I will cheat. I will brace on things. Like I'll set the camera on stuff and set it against things to stabilize it and do the whole pulling the strap on your neck trick, things like that to keep the camera from movement to a minimum. But I'm not chasing birds in flight either. I did try it a little bit down there at the bird sanctuary, but I don't see how you boys have patience for that. That was frustrating. That was an exercise in frustration. Sirui P124 monopod destroyed and just on exercise walks. The middle fulcrum is shot. Wow. Use some Gorilla Tape on it. Just lock it in extended or glue it. Slide it out and coat it up good in epoxy and run it back and forth and get it all up inside the section. Extend it out, duct tape it and let it harden up. Because I'm sure it's light. That's probably the reason you picked it, wasn't it? Let's see here. Oh. This is where we went yesterday. It's too bright. Let's see if I can, how can I get the scene to lighten up? It looks much better on here than it does on there. My frame shows a bunch of blowed out information in this corner, and on the frame it's not. Let's see here. But you can get some incredible photos. I'm finding one that ain't blowed out. Oh, really? There. Let's see. Man, this camera on this phone that I'm using for live streaming is so overexposing these images on the back of this screen. Wow, that's just incredible. Because on here, it don't look anything like what I'm seeing on the screen right there. It's just incredibly overexposing for it. I guess because the whole room is, the phone's doing the math. But yeah, we went to the Harry Potter theme park at Universal. Make that simple enough. Middle function shot. There's your, there it is, Phil. So going to bass angler. I'm going for it. Let's see if I can destroy that one. As much as you shoot Max, it will be a good test. Quick note, thumb through the comments and you'll find a link to the tripod that, or you'll find a link to the monopod that they're talking about for using for daily photo walks, where Max walks around his town and neighborhood in the city he lives in doing general photography. I would classify it more as street, but he probably doesn't. And because it looks like street photos in my game, but he's wore out a tripod. And if you scroll through the comments, you'll find the link where Bass Angler sent him a link to the tripod at B&H that he uses. So he's going to test that one out. So if you're interested in the monopod, I keep saying tripod. There's a link, and it's in the comments. I came in too late. He needs to relink. Oh. Came in too late. He needs to relink. Excuse me. What I was getting at here with these was, I had it pulled up. That's ISO 400. Okay, you can't tell it. If I back it way off here, you can see the exposure looks good on the screen. But these are I'm shooting at like two different ISOs yesterday. I was either shooting at ISO 3200, oh, wrong way, or ISO 400. Sometimes I would bump it on down to base, but most time it was either 400 or 3200. But that's inside Ollivander's wand shop at the Harry Potter theme park. We went in and looked around. We didn't buy one. Mad Photographers offering a prayer for President Trump. All right, let's see. B&H Photo, there's the link again for you, Aaron. Let's start a rumor that we'll get back to AMAR. The Canon 1DX Mark II smells bad. They used a new kind of glue and it emits an odor. Oh no. They've recalled all of the field test units to change the adhesive on the rubber coating. Peter McKinnon wouldn't even vlog with it. It must be a polling video if it didn't pass the smell test. Oh. Maven the Michael and Touchdown Tony will destroy the 1DX3 soon enough. I don't know. That camera's going to be hard to shut down no matter what. I mean, yeah, cause it's not Sony, you're going to see them say things about the video performance probably. But the 1DX isn't designed for video. I mean, for the money you'll drop on a 1DX Mark III, you could buy a C100, which is a legit video camera. You know, it's a stills camera meant to take, you know, as you hear it said, sports, action, and wildlife. You know, it's meant to take those moving in motion lifestyle shots, and they'll put it down because of no EVF. Honestly, the guys shooting the pro stuff. This is all I have to say about it. I've never seen Tony share photos where he shot an NFL football game or an Olympic event or anything of that nature, you know, or maybe the meerkats in Africa. You know, I've never seen him doing the stuff that the guys who need that camera are doing, and that's why I think he will give it bad marks on the video specs, is because the guys that use that camera are in harsh conditions, and they need a camera that will absolutely work when they need it to, and they're used to using an optical viewfinder, and it works perfectly for them. And I'll just tell you, you're not going to hear the people that shoot the 1DX Mark II complain about the 1DX Mark III. It's just not going to happen. The camera is going to be incredible. So, say what they will, Canon's going to release a sure enough showstopper DSLR. Now, it may be the last one they ever make, but it's going to be a monster. And the Nikon D6, it'll be a good camera. It's going to be freakishly expensive, but it's going to be a good camera. And it's going to have low light performance that will straight knock it out of the ballpark. Now, I'll just tell you, let's see. Chelsea is a real photographer. Yeah, I've seen some of her photos that she's taken, and they are very good. She's a great portrait photographer. Which, yeah, I ain't going down that rabbit hole. Are you buying the Z50? What's your views on this one? Long Rider Z50 is a winner. Aaron, who's in here, has a Z50. He went and got one. And he would be better at describing it. I wished I had the linking stuff set up so we could do the dual thing, but I haven't done it yet. I've done a little bit of research on how to do it, and it doesn't seem too complex, but I have not sat down and done it yet. But from everything I've seen, yeah, Max says monochrome loves his. Aaron seems to like his. He has found some limitations with it, but he likes it. Max likes monochrome memoirs. He's a working pro, you know. I'll be honest with you, his opinion of the Z6 was part of the reason I picked it. No, I'll just tell you the truth. He's used them for a year earning a living. If it didn't work really, really well, he would not be earning a living and shooting 40 and 50 weddings annually with Z6s. He couldn't. He couldn't stay booked if the cameras weren't performing. That tells me that they work fine if you know how to use them. So, and I like the Nikon ecosystem. I'm in it. That's why I like it. But you know, when I chose Nikon originally, there was no real reason. You pick Nikon or Canon, and I just picked Nikon, and so now I'm in that ecosystem, and I can still use most of my, well, like this big lens that I've been picking up. It'll autofocus on this. And I used it some with Phil Thatch on the Z6. Worked fine. And my 70 to 200 VR works. It'll autofocus on here. I don't think I have any other G series or new E series lenses. But I did get the 85 millimeter S lens, the f1.8S. I don't have it in here with me. It's in the other room. I took it with me down to Florida, and I shot with it when I shot the gym photos of the Common competition because it's real dim lit, so I could shoot it wide open and get a couple of stops light over this f4. But honestly, I don't think I needed it. You can run 6400 ISO out of this camera, and it looks like 800. I mean, the ISO capabilities of this Z6 are, it just blows my mind. The D810 can't hold a candle to the low light performance. It's just it's incredible. Yeah, Phil says it's terrible for birds in flight, and yeah, the focus speed is slow, especially driving that E series lens. The focus speed on a S lens is insanity. To me, it's fast. Now, I've heard people complain about on hunting focus, and every once in a while it will. It's like it racks out and back in or something, you know, and it'll take it maybe a split second. Maybe. It's probably a half second, truth be known. But most of the time, it's just literally zip, and it's on. And I mean, it's like it's almost instantaneous. It's shocking how quick it does it. Stuff's going by. I got to read it. Dave, Phil, how good is the autofocus tracking? Oh, yeah, it's terrible. Aaron wrote in and says, well, it is a tiny little camera with no IBIS. Biggest walleye I found yesterday was the 1/4000th of a second shutter speed, so it won't go over 1/4000th. He's trying to freeze motion or trying to keep up with the sun. It struggles a lot, just goes right by the bird. Situation is great. That's what I shoot. The Fuji X-T4 will have a new film simulation. It will be called Classic Kentucky Horsehead and Hindquarter Cutoff. And because of that, Max, I'm just going to stick to, it's caught on my chair arm. I'm just going to stick to this one. Oh. David, did you see my bird video today? No. Can you send me a link? Like, email it to me or whatever, or something. I need to see this. I'll watch it after I get off the live stream. I want to see. Dude, Digital Cam Centrum says LOL. We drawed one out of the woodwork for that one. I didn't buy the Z50 for birds in flight. I have a D500 for that. I bought it to have a small camera to take out and just shoot with. It goes in the sling bag and out the door every time I leave the house. We need more videos, Jeff. Those are awesome in slow-mo. Oh, yeah. Check your Google Photos. Oh, okay. I will. Oh, excuse me. I didn't shave my head today, so it's fuzzy and it's itching. I need to cut the hair off of it. Same reason, Aaron. I'll tell you. That is the one that I use for my general shooting. You can see I still currently run the 55 f1.8. I've got the 50 millimeter f1.4 Nikkor, and I like it, but it's heavier than this. And I keep falling back on this one, and it's 2/3 of a stop slower. You know, the f1.4 or what? Yeah, 2/3 of a stop. But I rarely shoot the 50 mil wide open, so it doesn't really matter. But this little lens performs exceedingly well. It's a really nice little lens. It's M42 mount, but I don't care. With this little adapter, it works fine. I really like it. This is the one I normally have in the truck all the time. And I try to carry this one, but you can see they're significantly, there's a lot more camera here. It's just bigger. Now the battery grip makes this one a little larger, but that's whatever. Let's see what it says. Z50 is great for M42 and M39 lenses. The X-T3 is a beautiful machine. 4K 60 frame. There we go with that. I don't shoot video with mine, and I'll tell you why. You see this wonderful screen? You see how it flips? If I do this, how it flips out so you can get down low and still see the screen. It doesn't flip this way. You can't compose your daggum shot with it. It's daggum frustrating. So that's why I don't use it. I mean, I shoot video of other things at times with it. I shot a video of a wedding. I did one of them little wedding montages with it, and it worked great. I shot pretty much all of it in slow-mo because it makes it look a little more cinematic, and it kind of gives it that sappy look, when the woman's putting the makeup on slow. Yeah, you get it. But I did that with it, but I just don't shoot video hardly with it. I shoot almost exclusively still photos. There's some more notes went by. Oh, Aaron got his Sears F1.4 in. Sears sells the F to Z for $49 if you buy 50. Wow. Not that I've been pricing them or anything like that. Uh-huh. We have Bedfords here, and are they over your way too, Phil? No. We don't have a camera store in Chattanooga anymore. Yeah, I know it's an opportunity for a creative solution. We used to have one called Superior Camera, but they went out of business probably 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. My very first shoot-through umbrella setup I bought from them. I had just got my D7000, and I was wanting to do some portrait work with off-camera flash, and I bought a sync cable, a light stand for a speed light. I had a speed light, so I needed the light stand, the cold shoe, the sync cable, and the shoot-through umbrella. I bought all of it from them, and it was fairly inexpensive. And the next time I went by there to get something, they were gone. Which, brick and mortar camera shops, it's hard. You struggle. Store. Is that why he closed up? He retired? Great photographer most of the while. He uses D850 and a 200 to 500. You shoot with him regularly or something? Well, what we need to do is open that back up. If there's enough market in the area to drive it, at least have a couple of cameras and a few lenses, so he's the one you shot the Eclipse with. Nice. Oh, okay. I got an idea I'm going to kick around with you a little bit, Phil. I'm going to text you after the live stream's over. I've been making notes about it while I was in Florida. Oh, yeah. Climb back out of the rabbit hole. Yeah, mad photographer. Sorry to see the camera shops are signing slow death. Sad, I went into a camera store a few weeks ago and knew more about the camera than the salesman. That's not a compliment to me either. Yeah, a lot of times they get hired help and they just need somebody to mind the counter a lot of times, and they don't really understand what they're doing. But yeah, I get it. You need somebody that's interested in the job, or interested in the hobby, or the whatever. They need to be interested in photography to sell cameras. It just makes sense. I mean, why would I sell cars if I'm not interested in cars? You know, it just, yeah, it's a job, but you're not going to excel at it if you're not interested in it. Uh, I've seen that. I have a machine shop, and I can sell machine work because it interests me to see how a part is made, and then to reverse engineer that and to replicate a broken part new. It's interesting. I like to stripped off of it like a challenge to figure out before it was bent into the shape of a U, or but and it's because of that I excel at selling machine work. But yeah, if you're going to sell photography equipment, you need to at least, let's see. Yeah, you can sell gimbals there. Hey, hint, hint. Working on that. Radio Shack 2.0. Yeah. I worked in the TV repair shop of a Radio Shack in Lafayette, Georgia in 1988, repairing television sets. I did that. I got eat up by the IHVT as well. Actually, it wasn't the IHVT, it was the cathode ray tube. Fair warning, if you see a television set that has a regular picture tube in it, not a flat screen, picture tube, and you look on the inside and it looks like there's a spark plug wire going up to that hole, that TV can lay buried in a landfill for like 7 years and there'll still be voltage on that tube. That thing will hold a charge almost indefinitely until you either break the tube, bust the display, or discharge it. It's incredible how well those cathode ray tubes will hold a charge. And it holds like 22 kilovolts. So it will straight light your tractor off, buddy, if you get in there and get on that thing. Yeah, the IHVT is an integral high voltage transformer. I also nicknamed the flyback transformer, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was changing one out. That's how I got eat up. I had one that had lightning that fried the IHVT on it. Solid steel ball heads, yeah. Shocking. Yep, that's capacitance. You're right. You discharged a 3-500Z. Ooh, that's a vacuum tube, guys. And that sounds like it's either a horizontal output or a output tube off of a power amplifier for a musical, like power amp for a guitar amp. Them vacuum tubes will light you up too, especially if they're powered up when you touch them, because they have significant voltage on the plate and grid. I learned all about that too. I have a bunch of that crap. Right here, just out of camera shot, is my ham radio, by the way. If y'all are interested in seeing what the vintage Heathkit, no, not Heathkit, Ten-Tech radio is. Drake L4B 1500 kilowatt HF amp. Ooh. Yeah, I never messed with them boat anchors. 3-500. 3-500Z is a power tube. Mm-hmm. Now you buy all your tubes from Russia, maybe China at this point. Back when I got into ham radio, Svetlana was the big name, and they were making all of the power tubes. If you wanted good power tubes, you bought Svetlana's from Russia. Softex, yeah. 6L6 power tubes, woo! VA3 WSP, woo! Ah, he's a Canadian ham. That VA3 call sign is Canadian. I'm WK4DS. Let's see if I can get it out of here. I have this fancy Ten-Tech desk mic because I'm a Ten-Tech op, and it has my call sign on it. A friend of mine gave this to me for my birthday a few years ago. When I do talk voice, that's the mic I use. I have a foot switch wired into it. I have a Kenwood TS450 SAT. Nice, dude. I've had a few cops took it away. Oh, that can't be good. There ain't no 4-sector call signs left in the 1x2 or 2x4 calls. So that's why I picked WK4DS. It's 2x2, which is reserved for advanced class and extra class. But yeah, I couldn't get a 4 series call sign which is where I'm at in the country. And because of that, I didn't want, you can get them from 9s and 8s. There's a bunch in that region. You can just pretty well sign up and get one of them. But I don't want one for Wyoming because people are so, they know that number 4 is the southeastern U.S. And I want them to know when I'm talking to them basically where I'm at. So that's why I didn't bother signing up for one of them. And I picked one in Morse code that has all short characters. W, K, D, and S are all 3 character letters because I'm a ham radio guy, or listen at me, a Morse code op. 1998 PV Wolfgang. Woo! That sounds nice. I love my 5150. Much older. My friend talks to South America with a custom rig in his pickup truck. The whole bed is a giant radio. He has 8 alternators in the truck to power it. Good Lord. Yeah, mine, I'm running what they call barefoot. I'll show you. It's right here. I have to uncover it. I'm one of them guys that keeps a towel over it to keep the dust off of it. Hey, look, it's on. That's nice to know. We'll juice it up so you can see it's on 40 meters. Let's see. I might have the antenna unhooked, and that's why it's so quiet. Well, let's give it some. It's got a little bit of audio noise. Yeah. Either someone's tuning up. They're dead keying a long time if they are. Let's go up this way. I'm not real sure that I got my antenna hooked up. I should have heard something by now. This is it. I'll spin it around here. You have the automatic antenna tuner. You have the Ten-Tec Omni 6 Plus. This has been my holy grail radio. And then I've got the matching power supply desk speaker that goes with it. Of course, I got that mic I showed you. Then I made custom Morse code keys. Oh, I'm keying up. I made custom Morse code keys from scratch. There's 40-something parts in this little monster. And I wanted one of these high-end keys. It has ball bearings. It has magnets. They're neodymium iron boron magnets for the springs. I took like all of the notes from all of the high quality keys. The keys have a very low rotating mass. They have good leverage angles. But yeah, I got an old Bug. I've got straight keys, all that jazz. But I figured, I probably got my antenna disconnected, truth be known. Yeah, there it is, matter of fact. That's why we can't hear nothing. There's my coax. But yeah, that's my radio. This was the holy grail. That it took me a while to find. This antenna tuner is hard to do. The automatic antenna tuner is actually kind of hard to come by. I found it on eBay, and it was missing this knob, so I made the knob for it in the machine shop. But now I gotta lock my tripod back off. There we go, right there. Shut this down so we don't have to listen to it. I need to hook my antenna up now that the storm's passed. I haven't got on the air with Morse code in a while, but I really enjoy it. CQDX. I haven't called CQDX in a while. Yeah, the towel I did it keeps the dust out of the radio. Ooh, Eddie Van Halen. Saw him in 1982. Wow. Thank you. That and a pile of guns and ammo, and you're set for doomsday. I wish it was that easy. Oh. What did I just do? Okay. Is the photography portion over with? No, I'm back. We just diverted to ham radio for just a minute. I could live stream in Morse code, whatever. The original purpose, climbing out of that rabbit hole that I was trying to get out of a while ago, was to discuss how well this rig worked. And I used it when I walked around the neighborhood and did my photo walk with Teresa Saturday morning. And then I put the 85-18 on it for the climbing competition. But then once I come back outside, I wanted the zoom back. I wanted to run 24 millimeters too. I like the 24 millimeter in this camera. It seems to work really well, and it gives me really dynamic shots. I've shot wide angle before, and it just seems like on this camera, I don't know. It's just something about it. It just seems better. I don't know why. And I really like the 24 millimeter end of this lens. It's become my favorite portion of the lens. But and I shot with it a lot. Like Sunday, we went to that nature preserve. Then we drove up to Orlando and we checked into the hotel. Then we went over and we ate. We walked around the food court, for lack of a better term. Universal Studios has this huge complex, and you can go into the food court portion of it for free. You go through security to get into it, but then we went over and we ate, and then we came back. We met up with all the people. All right. Then the next morning, since we were staying in a Universal resort, it was just a hotel, but since we were staying on one of their properties, we got in the park an hour early. So you ride the little shuttle bus and they take you over there, and except parking. Yeah, there's that. We'll get into that in a minute. We made a real bonehead move with the parking, but once we checked into the hotel, we rode the little tram. They took us over. We got there an hour before they opened the gates for everybody else. So we go in. Well, I want to get photos of the Harry Potter theme park. That was my goal, was to get interesting photos of the... They've got two sections. We learned from Phil here. Phil was the one that clued me in. And we did buy the dual park pass so we could ride the train. They have a Hogwarts train that takes you from the alley in England, that's the Magic Alley, over to Hogsmeade, and you ride the train, and it's kind of neat. I'm not gonna spoil it for you about the train, but the train's got some special crap too. They hold nothing back. They went all out. It was well done. I got to give them credit, but that alley is really interesting. It has that Grendal's Bank or whatever with the dragon on it, and it's got the little, I think it's Ollivander's wand shop, and it's got a photography guy, and I got a picture of his storefront, and then it's got this alley where the dark arts are. So I'm not super big into Harry Potter, but Gringotts Bank, yeah, that's it. But it was neat to see it, because it's kind of neat. So I was trying to get interesting photos of it, and I was playing with this camera and lens set up to do it. And after about 15 minutes, it was saturated with people. And then it just took the magic away. Somebody leaving? You got to go? Well, thank you for dropping in, Long Rider. I really appreciate you coming by. Indeed, yes. Scott Peterson says he finds a lot of ham radios are also photographers. I think I'm going to make a quick comment on that, and then I'm going to jump back into my discussion about the theme park. I think the reason you see a high concentration of photographers that are also hams is because we like to tinker with stuff, and we like things with knobs. We like to make adjustments, and you get the same kind of euphoria, for lack of a better term, messing with your camera as you do turning knobs on a radio to succeed at something. It gives you that sense of accomplishment, and it's kind of immediate. So I think that's where that comes from. But yeah, I see it too. And you see a lot of guys who like to wrench cars are also photographers. I've noticed that as well. Guys who want to restore cars and things. They're almost always also photographers. But we was in that to get the best result. Only you can take as good a photo as you want. That's true. If you're going to do it right, you got to do it yourself. But what I started having to do, and the challenge came once the people saturated the park. That's when it got challenging. There are a lot of people that have cell phones that are far. there are a few photographers that can shoot with a cell phone. There are a lot of people that own a cell phone. Well, we're going to differentiate that right now. There's a difference. I have seen cell phone photos that were wall hangers. It can be done, but you got to know what you're doing. You have to use it a lot and understand the limits of your equipment and work with them. But what became the challenge to me at the theme park was to get photos without people in them of the theme park. And I did it. It took me a while to figure out the angles or the locations, and occasionally I'd get a person here or there. But I deliberately took a few photos of the crowd just so you could see how many people were in that theme park. It was literal saturation after about an hour. It was incredible. When we got in there, they did a ride. I didn't partake of it. There's some kind of ride in that bank. And when they got done with that, we went and got on the train. Well, to get on the train then, literally was we checked our little ticket and we went down the little walk thing and we got on the train. And it took about that long. We rode it over to Hogsmeade. When we went to go back, it took like 40 minutes to get back on the train to ride it back over to the other side. Of course, you don't have to ride it back, but there's something special that happens on the train in each direction, we found out. So you need to ride it both ways. So that dragon breathes fire? I didn't even know it. LOL. Every 15 minutes. Huh? Apparently it happened while I wasn't looking. I had no idea it breathed fire. I did see the umbrella that rains, and let's see, well, there was a few other things that were kind of neat, but yeah, it got to be the challenge to me was to get photos of the theme park without people in them, and I did. I got a few, and I was kind of happy with what I found. But it was tough. You know, that was where I challenged myself. I got a few family photos, you know. We took some in front of the big universal globe that spins, and we did that sort of thing. But as far as just snapshot of us eating ice cream, snapshot of us walking down the white, I didn't do none of that. I took photos of the theme park without people in them. Try that sometime at a theme park, especially in Orlando, Florida. It's not easy, but you can do it. And I wound up the first day. I took this camera and I took my little belt pouch, that's a lens pouch, and I took that 85 mil lens and a spare battery and some stuff in there. The second day, I took this camera, a second memory card because I had almost filled this one up. It had 200 frames on it or something. Let's see, what's it say now? So and I still have 133 frames. But I took a spare memory card, 2 batteries, and that was all. Took the camera, 2 batteries, because I wasn't sure how much was left in this. And I topped them all off, but now that I've changed the settings, it runs the display a lot longer. And I haven't really gauged how long it'll last. I've went through one battery and gotten deep into a second one twice in the last weekend. So yeah, it's kind of a power hungry camera, and I would get the battery grip if it allowed me to put 3 batteries in it, but I seen how the grip's made and battery pack, excuse me. But it's got the connector that goes up inside the camera, so you lose this battery, it moves it down into there. So, and you know, with the X-T3 you have 3, and if it did it that way, I would do that. But here's why you can't run a battery grip on a Z6. There's no electrical contacts. There's nowhere to interface with the camera so that you can transfer control of the shutter and the AF on button and that stuff to the grip. It's just not there. I don't know why they didn't think to add it. Maybe it's coming out on the next generation, you know, and they'll add the contact pad so that the camera can actually talk to the grip. But that's why it's just a battery pack. There's no electrical connection for the switches. I figured that out one day when I was messing around with my D810 or my XT3, one of them two. I had the battery pack off of it, and I realized at that point there's a great big block of contacts that the pack makes when it bolts on to transfer control over for those switches, and that's why this doesn't do that. That's why it's just a battery pack. Z6 battery grip, 2 slots, flip screen, and birds in flight. An XP 32 processor, bird in flight tracking. It'll say BIF tracking. Now I gotta give the focus tracking credit. I've played with it a little bit. Yeah, I just got my Z6 and looking for some big glass. Interesting to know how you and David like your 2-500. Now I'll give you, yeah. I just did my review on this monster. Watch that review. Watch the video that I made of me and Phil, and go watch Phil's video of me and Phil, and you'll see most of the day we ran this on this body, both of us. I had the 1.4 teleconverter crammed in there to give me a little more reach, but that was the camera and lens setup we ran until we went up to the waterfall. That's when I took the XT3 because it was backpackable, and he took his Z6 because he had a wider angle lens for his. But yeah, if you want to shoot super telephoto, dude, that 2-500 and the FTZ adapter is magic. Excuse me. Woo. Excuse me. I apologize for that. I've been sneezing ever since I got home from something. I don't know what it is. I think I'm allergic to work. I don't know about, I have never used a Tamron lens. Now, Aaron has several Tamron lenses and they work beautifully for him. Let's see. Scott says he has a D850 and a 2-500 and loves it. Guessing I heard Tamron is said to have issues working with the FTZ. Guessing tight. Okay, I get it now. Ron Durant. Who's that? I don't know who Ron Durant is. Ron's a brilliant waterfall photographer. Oh, okay. That's but yeah, it's a very capable setup. Except, like he said, the focus speed on this camera isn't fast enough to capture the bird moving through the air. You need that D500 if you're gonna photograph them little flying birds. That's why Phil has a D500. That's why Bass Angler has a D500. That's why Aaron has a D500. That little D500 is the camera for that job. But you know, the Z6 has its place though. I mean, it's a beautifully rendering photograph. I mean, it astounds me how good the images look coming out of this camera. The straight out of camera JPEGs are so good that I almost don't even bother with the raw files. It just blows my mind how good they are. Axe says the D500 and the 2-500 are equal sublime. I mean, all you guys that shoot bird in flight have one, and I think there's something to that. But yeah, for general photography, this thing does not disappoint. And this 24-70 f4 is an amazing lens. It doesn't have the big aperture, but it also ain't heavy. That's the magic, is it kills all that weight. You get that 24-70 f2.8, and you can ask Phil. He's got the F mount, and it's heavy. It's a heavy girl. But this one weighs probably half what that one weighs. Now, of course, you're losing a full stop of light, but it's one stop. I mean, that's not bad. And this thing produces ISO 6400 images that look really good. I've shot images at ISO 10,000 with this camera that didn't look bad at all. They were perfectly acceptable photos. So, you know, losing a stop of light isn't a big issue. You lose the bokeh, but if you can put a little bit more distance between your subject and your subject's background, it's not an issue there either. I've got beautiful bokeh shots, especially at 24 millimeter, because I can get really close at 24 and not, you know, and still keep stuff in frame. And yeah, it functions exceptionally well. So don't let f4 scare you off. We've been conditioned that you got to have big apertures to get good looking photos, and it's just not true. F1.4 is fine. What's that Phil says? Here I am trying to talk people into reasonable size lenses, and here comes Phil. Squish. Oh. But you know, I went to the Viera wetlands, and this is a 280 to 700 millimeter f8 minimum aperture, because I have the 1.4 teleconverter on it. That's how come I can get 700 millimeters out of this monster. And with that, with this camera in daytime, let's see, it'll tell me what my ISOs were most of the time. Let's see here. ISO 400, 1/200th of a second. Let's see, ISO 400, 400. Did I ever change ISO from 400? No, looks like I didn't. And I'm backing up. Well, let's go to the Viera wetland photos. See, I don't know if you can see the setup. I've got it set up. Now you can't tell. This is not a touch screen, so I can touch this one. But I've got it showing EXIF data. There's the photo. There's the EXIF data, and there's the histogram. Well, there was the histogram of the shot. So I can see all that data. And that's the beauty of the D810. But yeah, I took a bunch of test shots. You can't tell because of the exposure, but this is the rocket launch. I photographed the SpaceX rocket. We were 20 miles away, okay? So it's like this little speck in the middle of the frame. There's the rocket exhaust. You can get that view on the D6, yeah. I haven't dug that deep yet. I have finally, because of you, I have finally set it to where I can see my EXIF data on the screen so I can know what I'm shooting, but you can, yeah, good. You can set that up. Well, it's the same menu system, so it wouldn't surprise me if the software is the same. Yeah, the teleconverter works really well on the Z6. I ran it that day that we did our video together. Yeah, I haven't tried. Yeah, you should watch mine and Phil's videos because we see things from two different perspectives. And at the end of Phil's video, I had this idea in my head because I was going to set up a shot that once we got done shooting his outro, I was going to walk into mine at the back of my truck. So I went over to get my little camera ready. Well, Phil finished up. I felt like a big heel, and I turned around and he's done. I was like, all I was going to do is go set my camera down. Here he comes. I'm like, dude, what about your outro? That was not what I was trying to do. I felt bad after that. But yeah, I shot almost all day. Actually, I think I shot all day with the 1.4 on mine. Yeah, because it makes it a f8 lens, so it's a little slow. You don't. I cranked the ISO up to make up for it. A super fun day. Yes, it was. I really enjoyed that. We got to shoot street now. I'm trying to sneeze again. Whew. But yeah, this works really, 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 really well, guys. If you get an opportunity to pick up the kit that comes with the 24 to 70, jump on it. This is like the perfect general purpose camera. It really is. I have quickly fallen in love with this camera. The only thing that bugs me about it, the X-Tree 3 has that this one don't, is the the flip screen doesn't flip this way like that one does. So I can't get down low and do vertically oriented like 24 millimeter shots. I like to get real low and like have someone walk through the frame and get that perspective of looking up at the person and getting something neat in the background. And I can't really do it with this. I can glance down and I can kind of see it on the display, but it's harder. It's a lot easier on the XT3. So the XT3 does perform better in certain applications like that. It really does. That's the one thing about this camera that I really don't like, is that. As far as the autofocus, it works fine. It took me 2 weeks to get over it. What'd you get over? You're not catching that mutated flu, are you? No, I don't have the flu. I want the 14 to 30. Yeah, Phil likes that 14 mil. He's real big into 14 millimeters. Yeah. It was the deciding factor over the D780. 14 to 30 will take filters. Yeah, that's true. Hey, Phil. Was that the 70 to 210M push-pull as opposed to the 70 to 200 2.8 you took with you on the last video? Ultra 5. Yes, he has that lens. That's the one, if you watch my video of our day trip, I do a flyby of his camera bag showing you all that heavy glass in it, and he talks about that lens for just a moment in it. And I think he did a review on it too. But it performs exceptionally well for shooting landscape because he stops it down anyway. So why would you have a huge glass if you're going to stop it down to f11 regardless? You know, even the littler lenses that don't perform as well on MTF charts perform well at f11. So you don't need all that glass, so you can save yourself the weight. Yeah, I think Phil will have that 14 to 30S lens probably before he has an XT3. Ah, so you used it. Is that the one where you did the waterfalls on New Year's Day? I just watched that video while I was out of town. Dude, that's a good lens. That 12 to 24 is a beautiful lens. Yeah, that was a cool video, dude. I like the second waterfall better than the first one. It was, in my opinion, it was a prettier cascade. The first one had its own unique look, but it just didn't have that something that the second one did. Oh, here we go again. The lens is a sleeper. Love it. Use it more than the 80 to 200 f2.8D. That is yeah. I picked up one of them 80 to 200 screw drive lenses. That thing is a monster. It's all metal and heavy. A lot of glass. First one would be great after major rain. Yeah, it needed more water. I give you that. That's probably all it was missing, was it needed more water. I like the ease of access. You know, y'all wasn't on like a muddy single track that was 2 miles one way up a mountain. Aaron, why'd you let me talk you into that crap, dude? More up. Yeah. There's an inside joke to that. Every time we'd get to a bend in the trail, I'd be like, it's got to be right around this bend. And he would be in the front, and he'd round that bend. He's like, nope, more up. Yeah, I think there was one guy beat us to the waterfall, and he was like a trail runner. He came by us, and he came by us going out as we was getting to it. And we got there, and we were the only ones there for a good 15 or 20 minutes, and then people started showing up. I got a few photos of it without anybody, and then I started adding in the tourists. They were trying to do their selfies. I was like, hey, can I get a photo? And I just took their picture and used it. But which one was it? It was called Hen something Falls. Was it Hen Hollow? Was that it? It might have been Hen's Hollow Falls. RD hikes into nowhere for pictures. RD is. I made it to Rainbow Falls. on Signal Mountain last Thursday. Ooh. Yeah, and it's like on top of a mountain. That's the bizarre part. It's a waterfall, but it's at the top of the mountain. What part of Georgia am I from? If you look at a map of Georgia, where it meets Alabama and Tennessee, I'm in that corner almost all the way. I'm about 5 or 6 miles, probably line of sight to Tennessee, and like 1 mile to Alabama. I'm up in the corner. I had a guy check into one of my videos that was from Dahlonega. Was that you? I don't remember his name. Oh, over there, LOL. Yeah, I lived in Somerville for a long time. I'm sorry. There ain't much in Somerville except a road to Rome. Okay, yeah. We need to link up and do street photography in Dahlonega. I think that'd be cool. Oh, you worked in Trine at Regal. Was it called Mount Vernon? Is that where you worked? See, I got family from Trine. Some of them live in Somerville now, but yeah, I'm sorry. That's a one horse hitching post without a horse. Yeah. Yeah, it's just redneck central. It's just country as country gets, but yeah. My grandmother worked in the weave room for like 50 years. She was a weaver down in the weave room. You're old now, you're 46. Take a number, spring chicken. I'm 50. Yeah, I like I said, I got some family in Trine, so we go over every so often. But, but dude, I would like to go shoot street and photography in Dahlonega. Seriously, that'd be awesome. It's not out of the way enough. Yeah, they got military contracts. That factory will run forever because of that. I don't have no massive southern trees. I mean, we got oak trees, but they're maybe this big. Yeah, that's how they make their money is Levi Strauss, Lee Jeans, and the U.S. government. All the denim they make goes to those three people, pretty much exclusively. They ran so much woodland camo back in the day, it was pathetic. Um, that was their biggest contract. You got me beat by a few. All right, let's see. Old as a number. Yeah, sometimes it's in your ankle. We're gonna get a new camera. I'll just tell you, if you're interested in Nikon, this thing should be seriously on your list, especially with the prices they've got them at right now. This is a deal. They're probably trying to move them all out of inventory because they're about to come out with the Gen 2s of these. But this one works. It just works. Works so well. I still haven't learned much about it. It's sad that I don't spend the time to learn all the little bitty ins and outs of the camera. Like Phil's over here telling me how to set the menu and how to get the EXIF data on my pictures and but yeah, dude, this is a great machine. And if you like crop sensor cameras, now with crop sensor cameras, you get there's a whole different rabbit hole for crop sensor. I like Fujifilm, and if you was gonna go crop sensor, I would say sit on your money. Wait for Fujifilm to launch their new X-T4 that's coming out that Max has been kicking around little comments about. Because once that X-T4 comes out, the X-T3 will get cheaper. They've proven that. See, all their other cameras will immediately drop several $100s in price when the new camera drops. So, yeah, if you're thinking about getting crop sensor, then yeah, the X-T3 is nice, and it is. It's a great machine. It's a very, very capable camera, and I love mine. So, if you're considering going down that path and going with the Fuji ecosystem, wait on the XT4. Just give it a few weeks because it'll be coming out, probably April at the latest. And wait on that XT4 and the XT3 will get cheap. And there'll be Max said it perfectly the other day somewhere. He's like, once that XT4 drops, there's going to be so many XT3s for sale. And he's right. People will dump them because they'll want that latest and greatest tech. And you'll be able to pick up an XT3 for literally a song. So I would say, yeah, I'd buy one second-handed with a low shutter count that was maybe a second shooter camera, and I'd save my money and buy glass because an XT3 is an amazing machine. Even with my old adaptive lenses, I get beautiful sharp photos with no IBIS. So that's what is going to sell people on that XT4. It'll have the IBIS. That's why they dumped all the XH1s and why you haven't really heard much about the XH1's replacement. I think the XT4 is going to merge those two cameras, and that way they can simplify manufacturing, and they can just make one camera that does the job of both of them, and that way they can just consolidate all that, and it'll be more cost effective for Fuji to make one super camera and make it the XT4. I think that's where they're going with this. Yeah, well, this has IBIS, 5-axis with an S lens, 3-axis with an F-mount lens. So all your old F-mount glass, your adapted lenses have IBIS with the Z6. Phil's got that old, is it a Minolta 50 millimeter f1.4, I believe it is. The IBIS works with that old 50 millimeter Minolta he's got. Yeah, it has IBIS. Yeah, he's got a Minolta 50 mil, and it applies the IBIS to all of the lenses you attach. You get 5-axis with the S series lenses, but you get 3-axis with everything else. 3-axis is really, really good. That gives you several stops. Dude, this 5-axis IBIS, it's shocking. Like, I'm shooting at 1/3 of a second, 1/4 of a second, and getting 1 over 2.5 seconds. It's almost half-second shutter speeds, and the images are sharp. It literally blew my mind when I hit the shutter button, and it took a long time. What my mind thought was for the shutter to close, and the image looked good. I was like, really? This thing works. It lets you take really slow shutter speed photos. And if you can brace it against something and it's open for a long time, you can literally handhold it leaned up against a light pole, and the photo will be sharp, and it'll be a half-second shutter. It's just, I just can't describe it. You just have to do it. You have to use it to understand. Stuff that in the past I would have been propping the camera up and getting it stabilized or on a tripod, and then running the 10-second timer so I get rid of camera shake. This one, stick it against the wall, press the shutter real slow, you listen for it to click and release, and the image looks good. Dude, it can handle those micro movements of you just holding it against the wall, the vibrations against the wall. The IBIS will eat that, and it works. I couldn't believe it until I started seeing the pictures coming out of camera. You start zooming in on them, and they're still sharp. But yeah, it's a little more pricey. This assembly was like $2,200, so it's not super cheap. There's that. Aha! Go play with your Z6. Get it juiced up. Get her dialed in. Let's see here. Daniel asked, what manual focus options does it have? I see Fuji pics made with the XT1, and they still look awesome. That's because they are. Let's see. Manual focus options. Okay, with an S lens, it's fly-by-wire. It has this. This is the focus ring on this lens. It's a little thin one. You got the zoom ring is this huge band. All right, and then you have this. It's programmable. You can change it to do different jobs. If you just want to use autofocus, you can make it do ISO or whatever. But as it's wired from the factory, this is programmed as focus. And my 85 has, since it don't zoom, it has this big barrel and it's a focus. And it's an optical sensor that tells the camera that you're adjusting focus, and it works really well. It's real fine, and you can see it moving really slow. If you turn it real slow, it drives the focus in and out real slow. It does what it should. But it has a manual mode in the setups. I'd show you the screen, but it's going to be blown out like all the other times. It has AFS, AFC, and manual. And when you go to manual, the autofocus buttons no longer work. None of that. It just turns it all off, and then you have to drive it with this. And it set it to release without a lens. I don't think I set this one up to do that. I think it just comes out of the box already turned on. Did yours, Phil? Because I don't think I had to enable that on this one. I believe it was already enabled. But oh! It has focus peaking. Yeah. Yeah. Let me look. What kind of focusing options does it have? Let's see. Focus points. Focus point wraparound. Low light autofocus. Shutter release. Okay, let's find a different mode. Maybe it's under display. Shutter type. Mechanical or electronic. I'm running mechanical shutter. Can't find it. Controls. Let's see. It's in the wrench, maybe. Phil, do you know where that's at? It shows it. Photo shooting menu. Maybe it's in here. A lot of that stuff was. Picture control. Exposure, high ISO, diffraction, metering. I'm using matrix metering, by the way, with my autofocus, multiple exposures, HDR, time-lapse, focus shifting, silent photography. I don't know where it's at. I'm sorry. But it does give you focus peaking, and it allows you to adjust how much intensity it puts on the peak. I know that, and I think it gives you magnification as well, but I just haven't needed it. Okay. Sir David, did you see that there is a 2600S series on the way? Yeah, that won't cost but about 40 grand. They ain't gonna make that reasonable money. For the 8 people that have one of these cameras, they're gonna gouge us pretty hard on it. This is a split image. Yeah, Fuji's X-T3 has 2 or 3 of those modes where it has like the micro prism and the split prism and all that. I honestly just use focus peaking with focus magnification when I'm using my manual lenses. I have on the back of the X-T3, and this works for me very well. On the back of this camera, you have 2 buttons. All right, when I have a Fujinon lens mounted, this is autofocus. It's AF on. And then I've also programmed, hear that? This wheel has a push-to-click button built into it. So I've also programmed it for AF on. And that's because there's a little bump right here. That little bump catches your thumb. It's right in the way of me reaching over and hitting this AF on button. It's in the way. So I missed it a few times when I was trying to get focus in Israel. So I added this button. So now both of them do that function. So I can just reach up and mash and it'll focus. Typically I end up hitting this knob. But this next button over, I've got programmed for focus magnification, for manual focus. And it don't work until you switch the camera to manual. You got automatic, you got single, you got manual, and you got continuous and single. That's what the 3 mean. And when I switch it to manual, this becomes focus magnification. So what I'll do is I'll look through the viewfinder, magnify it, focus in on whatever I'm wanting to be in focus. And then the focus peaking kind of just helps me make sure it's in. I get close, like I'll be looking through the lens, and I'll dial it, and you'll see the band of focus move over to the objects you're wanting in focus, and then I'll hit magnification, and you can actually see the image just sharpen up as you dial the focus ring. On here, that works really well for me. I haven't shot manual focus enough with the Z6 to figure anything like that out yet. That's the thing is, D10 is peaking. Ah, there you go. Phil is all about this camera. He knows way more about it. This one I figured out how to do what I want to do, and then I quit playing with menus and I went and started taking pictures. But with that one, I haven't learned yet. Phil's kind of my backup resource. I finally downloaded the owner's manual to my phone, so I'll have it with me all the time, so I can look stuff like that up. But I think it only has peaking, and I think it has magnification too, because my D810 will in live view, it'll do focus magnification. I can zoom in while I'm in live view, and it'll let me zoom in. So I'm pretty sure the Z series will also. It would be kind of foolish on Nikon's part to not add that to their mirrorless when it would be so easy to do. Excuse me. Ah, see, Phil's smart. He's got one of his front buttons. It has two function buttons right here. That, you know, it used to be the timer button or whatever, and on the older DSLRs, I think there's only one. Yeah, I have a function, and then I have a preview button. That's what it was. This will set the aperture to whatever you set on the DSLR, but then you can set this other one as a function button right below it. And this one, since it don't have aperture preview, it has two function buttons. And you can program them to do whatever you want, which I think you can remap about every button on the camera, kind of like you can the Fuji. They give you pretty broad latitude with what you want to do with the buttons, which I've remapped the video record button on my D810 to be ISO, so I could reach it with one finger. They figured it out. They added it to this camera. Now I don't have to remap my video button. I can just reach up and hit the ISO button. Because the ISO button on the D810 is over here on top of the knob. It's never been convenient for me. It's over here. And, you know, yeah, you can hit that button and adjust ISO, but it takes two hands. I wanted it to be to where I could be shooting, and if I wanted to add some ISO, I could just hit this button, run that thumb wheel, add some ISO, and go back to focus. You know, and you can see in the viewfinder down at the bottom, there's a little bit of data, and it shows your aperture, your shutter speed, and your ISO down there, plus your focus indicator. And I could just be looking through the viewfinder, and I can just hit that button there, add some ISO, you know, and keep going, instead of having to come back and find this button here, mash it, because it's just that was a bad choice of location. I mean, that was one of the things about the D810 I didn't like. But yeah, they fixed it with these. They put it right there where it should be, so then you can be looking through the viewfinder, hit it, and you can add some ISO real easily. And I like this knob. It doesn't bother me that it's big, because you can operate it with one finger easily. I really like that knob. Let's see. I can't do single point focus. Single point back focus on the Z50 is pretty limited. Huh, interesting. Like the Z50 layout. It's missing the top screen, but ISO and exposure comp are in the correct Z6 D500 location. Not that I've been shopping or anything. Okay, man. Thanks for talking. I'm gonna head out. Let's get back again.
It's time for our supper and puppy
All right. Bass Angler says, Phil will be doing a Z50 unboxing pretty soon. Phil smiled. All right, Teresa just came in, guys. It's time to go eat supper. So it's been fun. I'm gonna have to log off. Just with limitations, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a small camera. You want less limitations, get a bigger camera. I appreciate you guys. It's been a lot of fun. But if y'all want to continue this conversation, Phil, crank up a live stream. Everybody go over to his channel. Until next time, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and get your camera out and go take a picture with it. All right? We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye. Heather has been waiting patiently. You guys kill me.